Evangelion is everywhere in Japan. It doesn't matter where you look, you'll find it on vending machines, coffee, canned bread, giant slides, bags of Doritos. It's a $12 billion franchise and a merchandising empire. But hang on a second. Isn't that kind of strange? Evangelion is this deeply personal work about depression and existentialism. How did that become such a commercial giant? Why is it mostly focused on Rei? I think the broader question I have whenever I see the show's merchandising and external media is, why is it so weird? Neon Genesis Evangelion aired in 1995 and was created by Hideaki Anno and Studio Gainax. It influenced anime in countless ways, and you can find 1,000 people talking about how, but it's harder to find as much discussion on another way it impacted the industry, through its commercialization. In order to explore that, let's break down the show a little bit. You can divide the show into 3 distinct elements. Firstly, mecha battles. They may not be exactly mechas, but a good portion of the show revolves around the 14-year-old pilots, Shinji, Asuka, and Rei, in their Evangelion units, fighting off enemies called Angels. Secondly, social life. A great deal of the show is spent with the cast of characters at school, work, or showing their home life to further build their characterizations. And lastly, the weird shit. The series is well known for its surreal and experimental sequences, Freudian psychology, and ruminations on the difficulty of human connection and existentialism. With these very different categories, when it comes to merchandising, which area do you focus on? While the series' most memorable and impactful moments may lie with the weird shit, that's not exactly something that can easily be conveyed on a bag of Doritos. It makes sense not to pursue this route. The most reasonable assumption, then, would be to go with the mecha battles. There was already a sizable market for toys and models of anime mechas, but this proved to not be the right course of action. At first, companies like Bandai were apprehensive about making Evangelion models. After all, the EVA units and their opponents had unusual, disturbing designs that weren't as marketable as traditional mechas. Their early sales were lackluster, completely dwarfed by an unexpected hit: a figure of the bandaged pilot Rei Ayanami as she appeared in the series premiere. The figure proved extraordinarily popular. In fact, it was the only case where a human character in a mecha anime outsold the actual mechas. Subsequent Ayanami figures continued the trend, reaching 10 times the sales numbers of other plastic models. It's hard to even properly state just how commercially successful this was. Rei Ayanami was credited with starting a merchandising boom, partly responsible for turning Japan's shopping district of Akihabara into the anime epicenter it is today. Ayanami was nicknamed the Premium Girl because of how well just about any products with her likeness performed. The overwhelming demand for Ayanami products throughout the years prompted a writer for the newspaper Japan Economic Times to claim that there are probably 1 million men in Japan in love with Rei Ayanami. This is all why a game like 2001's Ayanami Raising Project exists. In it, you play as a NERV lieutenant assigned to take care of Rei Ayanami. You're in charge of managing her day-to-day schedule as the events of the series unfold in the background. It's nearly a clone of Gainax's Princess Maker games, but with an Evangelion skin, which seems strange in itself given the nature of the series, but it's also got some unique characteristics to it besides that. There are multiple paths for Rei's future according to your choices, including an S&M queen. It's also partly a dating sim because you can romance Rei. Yeah, the adult caretaker who's raising her can marry her. In the series, Rei is one of many clones created by Gendo, something that the game really does nothing with. A more thematic and tonally accurate version of this game could have gone with a more creepy approach, where the player creates and monitors these clones as they develop. Instead, this was relegated to a mini-game in a bonus CD-ROM that looks like this. And the creepy approach they did take seems purely unintentional. The deep sci-fi aspect of Evangelion wasn't what was bringing in the money. Going back to the 3 main categories outlined before, products like the Rei Ayanami project make it clear which one. The social life category allowed Gainax to capitalize on the characters, which proved to be the most financially viable, resulting in a character over narrative approach for merchandising, oftentimes with an emphasis on sex appeal. While Ayanami continually remained the commercial darling, the series' other characters were still marketed in similar ways. Perhaps the most egregious example being Gainax's officially released Evangelion calendar, which features pinups of the entire female cast with full nudity. Yes, this was real, officially licensed merchandise. Just as Star Wars completely redefined the strategy for movie merchandising in the West, the Ayanami-fueled success of Evangelion ushered in a new era of anime merchandising that's still prevalent to this day. The greatest irony of Rei Ayanami's commercial success overshadowing the other elements of Evangelion is that the series creator, Hideaki Anno, believes that she was a non-character for most of the show. He went as far as to say, "I don't really understand Rei. The truth is, I have no emotional attachment to her at all." That's pretty harsh for a creator to say about their own character. To Anno, Rei's character arc was completed in the 6th episode, and he didn't know what to do with her afterwards. As a result, her character is stuck in limbo until she's needed again, not receiving much development. The character remains almost unchanged from her earlier appearances. The truth is, this didn't really matter to the general public. Her portrayal in merchandising and external media is oftentimes extremely different from her actual characterization anyway. While in the show she may be strange and emotionally distant, in marketing, she can be advertising lipstick with the allure of a model. As long as she looked like Rei, she could be portrayed in any way that could increase sales. When I get really into something, I like to absorb all the material surrounding it. Evangelion is something I can't do that with. It's not just the vast amount of material there is, and often its inaccessibility, but it's also the huge disconnect with the source material. Evangelion is an introspective, creative, deeply personal series that still feels special all these years later. You take a look at pretty much anything surrounding it, and that's not the sense that you'd get. Strip away pretty much anything you know about anime merchandising and look solely at the work itself, and you can see how fundamentally strange it is to market a show like Evangelion like this. Understanding the history of the Evangelion boom has at least helped me understand why it's like this, and serves as a compelling case on its own. Evangelion doesn't just have weird merch, it's why anime at large has weird merch. If you're ever embarrassed by your surroundings at the Anime Con, you can thank Evangelion for that. If you enjoyed the video, give it a like and consider subscribing. Thank you to Storm370 and John G for supporting me on Patreon. If you want to see more videos like this, joining my Patreon is the best way to ensure that. Thanks for watching.